You know that morning ritual? Step in the shower, pull the cord, instant hot water, feels so normal, so safe. But what if that daily convenience, that electric shower, is actually hiding a pretty serious risk right there in your home? Today on the Deep Drive, we're going to unpack that. We're looking at a silent danger, one that's often missed, that could, well, turn your shower into something genuinely perilous.
Exactly. And our goal here is to help you understand why this danger often flies under the radar. And maybe more importantly, show you how to check your own bathroom for what could be, well, a ticking time bomb. And we need to be clear, this isn't just about a little zap. This is a risk that, unfortunately, does claim lives.
Right. And today, Saturday, July 19th, 2025, as we're talking, it's entirely possible that somewhere a faulty wire or a missing safety check is making someone's shower dangerous. So let's get into it. Just think about the trust we put in our homes. You step into this small, wet space right next to a seriously high-power appliance. We're basically relying on a plastic box and some wiring, aren't we?
Uh-huh.
That margin for error feels, well, pretty thin when you think about it. Where does that margin usually disappear?
Well, a key thing is the earth connection. You might know it as the ground wire. Think of it as an invisible shield. Its whole job is to safely channel away any electricity that's gone wrong. But if that connection's broken or loose, or maybe it was never even installed right in the first place, then that dangerous current, it has nowhere safe to go. So it energizes metal parts. We're talking pipes, the shower head itself, even the flexible hose.
Hmm.
And the water, it becomes a live bridge, essentially.
And of course, you're standing there wet, which makes you a really good conductor.
Exactly. You complete the circuit, and that's potentially fatal.
Is this like a rare thing or more common than we'd think?
It's surprisingly common. There was a study, 2024 Electrical Safety Foundation. It found that for homes over 20 years old, about a third, 1 in 3, have outdated wiring, which just amplifies this exact risk silently.
I guess a lot of people, myself included, probably see the plastic casing on the shower unit and think, oh, that's safe. Why isn't that enough?
That's a really common thought. But electricity, it doesn't really care about the plastic cover. An internal fault can easily bypass that. It finds the metal components underneath the heating element connections, the pipes. And the reality is, most homeowners, they never check these systems, do they?
No, you just assume it was done right years ago.
Exactly. You're relying on blind faith. Faith in an installer, maybe from decades back, or the original builder. Combine that faith with aging wires and components, and you've got this hidden, widespread risk. Most people only find out about it when something goes terribly wrong. And let's be clear about how dangerous. It's not just the main unit. A bad earth can make the hose live, the shower head live, even nearby metal taps if they're connected through the plumbing, and then, the damp bathroom floor. That's what completes the path for the electricity.
Right, so you're standing in the middle of invisible hazard. You wouldn't even know until you touch something.
And get that surge. And it doesn't take much. OSHA standards say currents as low as 50 milliamps, which, tiny really, can be enough to stop your heart.
Wow. Okay, so what's supposed to prevent that? Is there a backup?
Okay. There is, or there should be. It's called a residual current device, an RCD, or you might know it as a GFCI in the US. This thing is absolutely critical. It works by constantly monitoring the electrical flow. If it detects even a tiny imbalance, like current leaking out somewhere it shouldn't, maybe through you, it just cuts the power instantly. We're talking milliseconds, much, much faster than an old-style fuse.
And this sounds like the crucial part.
Sure.
What if that RCD itself is faulty? Or maybe it was bypassed during installation? Or just isn't there at all?
Then you have absolutely no safety net. Zero.
Which happens, right? Especially in older houses.
It does. It's actually quite common in homes built before, say, the 1990s. And we see the tragic results. There was a UK coroner's report in 2024. It linked 3 separate deaths directly to electrified shower hoses, the cause, missing earth connections. Older homes, particularly ones where electric showers were added later, maybe not by a qualified electrician, they are definitely higher risk. It's a silent killer, and honestly, it needs urgent attention right now.
Okay, so we've got the Earthwire Shield, the RCD lifeline. But you mentioned installers. How often are installation mistakes the root cause here?
Oh, very often. You have to remember, these showers pull a lot of power. We're talking 8.5, maybe up to 10.8 kilowatts. That needs proper, thick, dedicated wiring running straight from your fuse box. But sometimes installers cut corners.
How so?
Well, they might use cable that's too thin. Say, putting a powerful 10.8 kilowatt shower on wiring that's only rated for 8.5 kilowatts. It's like trying to force a river through a garden hose. The wires just can't handle it. They overheat.
And that leads to...
Melting insulation. The plastic coating around the wires literally melts away, exposing the live copper inside. That's a recipe for short circuits, or even, yes, fires, other common things. Loose connections, screws not tightened properly in the pull cord switch on the ceiling or inside the shower unit itself. This can cause something called arcing, little sparks jumping across the gap that generates a lot of heat. Again, melting plastic, potential fires.
Are there warning signs for that? Things people might notice?
Sometimes. You might get a sort of fishy burning smell, or maybe your bathroom lights flicker when the shower's running, but often it's hidden inside the switch or the unit.
And I imagine this gets much worse with unqualified people doing the work or DIY attempts.
Yes, absolutely. That's when you see critical things like the earth connection being missed entirely or the RCD not being installed or wired correctly. There was a Consumer Product Safety Commission report just this year, 2025. It estimated that something like 20% of electrical fires in homes start from improper installations, and showers were specifically mentioned as a frequent culprit.
So dodgy installation is a huge factor. But what about the shower unit itself? Can they have flaws built in, even if installed right?
Yes, that's another layer to this. Inside the shower, there's usually a flow switch. Its job is to make sure the heating element only comes on when water is actually flowing through.
Okay, that makes sense, to stop it boiling dry.
Right, but sometimes these switches can stick. They get stuck in the on position, so the element keeps heating, even with no water or very little water flowing past to cool it. That leads to overheating, melting plastic in, maybe exposing live wires, or it could just outright cause a fire inside the unit.
And I guess cheaper units might be more prone to this.
Definitely, especially cheap or even counterfeit units you might find online. They often cut corners on safety features. A really important one is a thermal cutout. It's like a safety thermostat. If the unit gets dangerously hot, it just cuts the power off automatically. But many cheaper models just don't have them, or they use substandard components. The Electrical Safety Foundation found in another 2025 report that about 15% of electric shower units they tested failed basic safety standards.
Any other design issues to be aware of?
There is one more slightly different issue: scalding. Sudden changes in water pressure, like someone flushing a toilet elsewhere in the house, can cause the water temperature in some electric showers to spike suddenly, really hot. This is obviously a burn risk, especially for kids or older people.
Is that common?
It's significant. A U.S. study in 2024 logged around 1,200 scalding incidents linked to showers, many of them electric.
Okay, so we've laid out the risks pretty clearly: bad earths, no RCDs, dodgy installs, faulty units. It sounds quite alarming. So the crucial question now is, what can people listening actually do about this? Let's talk practical steps. How can you defuse this potential time bomb in your bathroom?
Right, let's get practical. There are a few simple checks you can and really should do yourself regularly. First up, test your RCD or GFCI. Go to your fuse box or consumer unit, find the switch labeled RCD or GFCI. It'll have a little button marked T or test. Press that button. You should hear a definite clunk sound as the switch trips, and the power to sockets or circuits it protects should go off.
And if it doesn't clunk, or nothing happens?
That's a major red flag. It means your safety device isn't working. You need to call a qualified electrician immediately. Don't delay on that one.
Okay, RCD test. What else?
Second, take a look at the pull cord switch for your shower, usually on the ceiling. Does it look scorched or discolored? Does it feel warm to the touch after the shower's been on? Do you ever hear buzzing sounds from it? Or notice lights flickering when you pull the cord? Any of those are warning signs of loose connections or overheating inside. Get it checked.
Got it. Check the switch. Anything else for the shower itself?
Just listen to the shower unit while it's running. Any unusual noises like humming or crackling, and pay attention to the water temperature. Is it consistent, or does it fluctuate wildly for no reason? That could point to problems with that flow switch we talked about or the heating element.
These all sound like good initial checks, but I guess they don't guarantee everything's okay internally.
Exactly. These are really just indicators. They're important first steps, but they can't replace a proper inspection by a qualified electrician.
What does an electrician do that we can't?
They have the right testing equipment, like multimeters. They can definitively check the earth connection. Is it present? Is it continuous? Is it effective? They'll also check the connections inside the switch and the shower unit itself, making sure everything is tight and secure. They can test the RCD properly, too.
And what sort of cost are we talking for that peace of mind?
It varies, but typically we might be looking at maybe $100 to $200 for an inspection like that, which, when you weigh it against the potential consequences, it's a very small price to pay.
Seems reasonable. How often should people get this check done?
I'd strongly recommend getting an electrical inspection, especially focusing on the shower circuit, maybe annually, particularly if your home is over, say, 15 years old, or if you don't know when the wiring was last checked.
And if the shower unit itself is pretty old.
Consider replacing it. Newer models built to current, like 2025, safety standards are just better. They're more likely to have those built-in thermal cutouts and other safety features. And look, these checks aren't just about ticking boxes. We're talking about preventing real tragedies. The stories are out there. Like the family in the UK, 2023, a father died from a shower shock. Turned out the earth wire was faulty and the RCD had been bypassed years earlier. Nobody knew.
Horrifying.
Or the teenager in Australia, 2024, hospitalized after touching a live shower hose. Again, traced back to an installer who wasn't qualified and missed the earth connection. And it's not just shocks. That U.S. house fire earlier this year, 2025, started by an overheating shower cable that had been installed improperly. Family lost their home, $150,000 in damage.
These aren't just isolated freak accidents then. They're warnings.
Absolutely. That global safety survey from 2024, it reported around 500 injuries every year just from electric showers. And the really chilling part, about 10% of those injuries are fatal.
So the message from these stories is pretty stark, isn't it?
It is. Test your safety devices. Inspect your wiring. It could literally save your life or the life of someone you love. Test, inspect, survive.
So let's wrap this up. The key takeaway seems to be, your electric shower is convenient, yes, but it's high power in a wet place. You have to respect that risk. That earth connection, that RCD, they aren't optional extras. They're absolutely critical lifelines, and they're overlooked far too often.
Absolutely. Don't ever try to save a bit of money by skipping safety checks or hiring someone unqualified. Test that RCD button yourself, maybe quarterly. Pay attention to those warning signs, buzzing, scorch marks, flickering lights. And please, get a professional electrician in for regular inspections, especially in older homes.
This has been incredibly insightful and honestly potentially life-saving information. If you want more deep dives like this, covering all sorts of fascinating and important topics, make sure you visit Mind Expansion Daily. And hey, while you're thinking about it, please do like this deep dive and subscribe to Mind Expansion Daily. That way you won't miss out on future insights that can make a real difference. We've covered a lot today about the hidden dangers of electric showers. Do you agree with our take on the risks and the solutions? Maybe you've had an experience yourself? Let us know, leave a comment below. We really want to hear your thoughts.
So here's a final thought to leave you with today, July 19th, 2025. That peace of mind check costs maybe a couple $100. A tragedy costs infinitely more. Will you respect the risk? Will you act now and make sure that daily shower stays a safe ritual and not a dangerous game of roulette?